I'd be willing to bet that you are doing this one very costly mistake that could easily be rectified. A costly mistake that's costing you easily thousands of dollars in your business and wasted hours and energy, more importantly, from my side. And here's the thing is that we all do this at some point. There's something that comes along and we react in a much bigger way than the situation actually calls for. Let me give you an example. So I was talking to a friend of mine, and she's quite a successful entrepreneur. And she was telling me about how she had just spent the previous 2 hours on the phone with a supplier because she was overbilled $150. Now, my friend bills out $500 an hour. So she effectively wasted $1,000 worth of billable hours. Ugh, that's one cost. But during the whole time, she was revved up and her adrenaline was spiked and she's like feeling stressed out for 2 hours. Now, the physical cost in your body is huge because the more time you spend stressed out, the less time your body spends healing. And so there's a double cost here. And I know everybody likes to look at, ooh, how do I make more money? However, if you have inefficiencies in your company, and anybody who does strategy will tell you this, if you have inefficiencies in your company and they're like this big when you are, a multiple six-figure company, they are going to be this big when they are a seven-figure company or an eight-figure company or a nine-figure company, right? The problem doesn't go away. It just grows exponentially as the money coming in grows. So we both need to look at, yes, we need to look at that sexy side of how do we make more money? How do we draw in more clients? That's awesome. And we have to look at the inefficiencies in our company. Now, if you're the main person in your company, if you're still at that point where you are the primary person, you've got a team, you're responsible for leading and delegating, all that good stuff, then the inefficiencies can be in how you deal with your emotions, because that will play a big role in how you deal with complications and situations. From having difficult clients that you need to fire and maybe hanging on to too long, keeping them around, keeping employees around for too long. We've talked about that before. And also how we deal with these situations that come up that require us to have confrontations, to have difficult conversations. The more that we are able to lean in and say, oh, this is no big deal. It's $150. Is it a one-time charge? Maybe I should just let it go. It's just not important. Is it an ongoing problem? Okay, maybe I need to lean in. Or, maybe there's somebody else on my team who could deal with this if it's not a high-level security piece. So when we're not emotionally invested, we can very easily drop into this place of, oh, no problem, let's fix it. And within 5 minutes, you've got a solution or you're working towards a solution, as opposed to wasting 2 hours plus being in this adrenaline rush. And of course, it takes a while to come down off the adrenaline rush. So you're really wasted 2.5 hours of your time. That's expensive for a $150 problem. Okay, so let me give you some really great tools that you can work with on yourself. Of course, this is the kind of work that I do. I help people dig in and find the real reason that is causing the upset, because it's not the $150 overcharge. I promise you, it's actually something else. And I've seen this with clients over and over again, little things, it triggers, and you're like, why am I responding to this? Like, this is such a petty little piece, right? That petty little piece is actually triggering on something bigger, some piece that has not been addressed, not at least to the depth where it's actually gone and doesn't reactivate every time you have something similar. So maybe being overcharged is about not being seen, not being validated, not being appreciated. It could be any of those things. And by addressing that at a deeper level, it's a lot easier to deal with a similar situation. And you'll just move into action instead of getting caught up in the emotions. However, as promised, here are some DIYs that you can use to get yourself over that emotional trigger. So first thing you can do, grab your journal and just write. Just get all your anger out. I'm so pissed off that they did this and how dare they and da-da-da. And that'll start to allow you to just kind of release some of the emotions. Now, good chance it's only going to address the emotions that you have about this particular incident, not necessarily going to go deeper unless you ask. Ask the question, what is this triggering? What is this poking at? And then it might take you a little bit longer to dig in there. It might take you a few days to kind of pull all of that out on your own. So there is a bit of a time commitment, but the initial piece, spending about 5 minutes just to get the emotion out of the way so that you can deal with it, highly, highly effective and super helpful. Absolutely. Super helpful for the surface piece, get you back in action. Awesome. Those of you willing to go a little bit deeper, keep pulling in, keep journaling. Like, what is it really? What is that triggering? What does that remind me of? What was that like in my past? Where did that show up? All of those kinds of questions will help you to access what is deeper, what's being triggered, and then give you the opportunity to release the emotions and the memories around that. Now, the other thing that you can do is some simple breathing into it and, being willing, like this piece of dropping in and saying to yourself, I'm willing to let this go. I'm willing to let this not be a big deal. And just taking those deep breaths to release that emotional upheaval from your system. I often call that the emotional charge. Releasing that from the system allows you some freedom, but it also opens up the perspective. It opens up your ability to see new ways of dealing with and addressing what you've got going on. That's really an important piece, because when we're problem solving, we want to have that perspective. We want to have all of our creative faculties like turned on, just juiced up, revved up. Like, we want those activated so that we can think outside the box. But if we are emotionally charged, I promise you, your brain, not going to be able to find those creative solutions, because the brain capacity is taken up with our emotions. And I've said this before, but our emotions are like windows. That you've got a PC running, and the more windows you have open with your emotions, the less windows you can open with for cognitive and creative function. So we need to bring down this side to be able to bring up the cognitive creative piece. That's the reality of how your brain works. It can't multitask very well. It also can't deal with high level emotions and still be high functioning. So we need tools to get our brain back on track. And this is why I'm such a big proponent for preventative work, constantly looking at the deeper layers of what is going on, addressing them when they're like this big, so that it doesn't become a giant issue. You don't lose 2 hours or even 2 days on something that is triggering pieces from the past. All right, lean into that. Let me know how it goes. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. And if you're watching on the other social media, be sure to follow, like, and comment. Love you.